池上彰と
増田ユリヤの
YouTube 学園。
今回は mRNA ワクチン、これを開発するのに基礎的な研究を続けていらしたカタリン・カリコさん、私たちもこの YouTube でインタビューをさせていただいて、本も出版しましたが、実は去年の中間選挙の取材の時に、カリコさんのアメリカのお宅にいたんですよね、私たちね。
なんかね、自宅を直撃という感じでしたね。
はい、どうでしたか、池上さん。
いやー、なんか本当に静かな森の中でね、このご主人と2人でこう静かに過ごしている、なんか本当に研究者として世界的な注目を浴びているのに、そんなことを全く感じさせない、もう質素な暮らしをしているなって思いましたけどね。
はい、まず私たちが行ったらカリコさん出迎えてくれたんですよね。
本当にわざわざ出迎えていただいて、本当に秋深まってね、紅葉が綺麗なところでしたね。
はい、お庭にね、お庭がすごく広いお庭があって、でお邪魔する時に車でこう行ったんですけれども、最初どこだかね、分かんなかったんですけど、ちょっと話は置いといてですね、カリコさんが本当にこう迎えてハグしてくれて嬉しかったんですよね。はい。
でとにかくいらっしゃい、中入りなさいって言って案内してくださいましたね。
はい。でね、まず私が感激したのは、ソファーに置かれてたクッションなんですよね。実は私ハンガリーの刺繍をちょっとだけ勉強して、それをお土産に持ってこうかななんて思ったら、いやいやもっと素晴らしいクッションがリビングに置いてあって、でそのうちの半分ぐらいは亡くなったお母様が作られたものが置いてあったんですよね。それからもうカリコさんが10歳の時に作ったという、このクッション、もう本当に感激と言いますか、この頃から何でもできるお嬢さんだったんだなって、
器用だったんだなと思いますよね。
はい。でこれはね、ハンガリー人の方たちのね、特徴と言いますか、ハンガリーの方ってお家にお客さん招くと全部お家の中案内してくださるそうなんですね。
いろいろと案内していただきましたよね。
はい。で家具なんかもね、素敵なものが置いてありましたけど、これも全部ご主人が作った。
すごいよね。みんな手製でこんなもの家具が揃ってるってことですよね。
はい、それも聞くところによるとハンガリー人らしいそうですよ。
なるほどね。
ないものは自分たちで作るという人たちだそうなんですね。でなんといっても私が感激したのは、カリコさん自らがお鍋でお湯を沸かしてお茶を入れてくださったんですが、そのキッチンカウンターもご主人が作ったっていうね。で本当に、80年代の半ばにアメリカに引っ越してからずっと同じお宅にお住まいで丁寧に暮らしてるなっていうのがね、よく伝わってきましたよね。キッチンで冷蔵庫見せてくださったじゃないですか。
冷蔵庫のところにマグネットで世界中でいろんなお土産買ってきたものが貼ってありましたね。
はい。で太ってる写真がね、女性と男性の2枚あって、私たちこうならないようになるべく冷蔵庫開けないように注意してるねなんてね、いろいろジョークも交えながら、で日本の女性のね、髪を結った女性のマグネットなんかもあって、
浮世絵のマグネットね、ありましたね。
はい。そんなことを言いながらお茶を入れてくださって、それから2階を案内してくれたんですよね。
いや、2階行ったらね、本当にいろんなね、サイエンスの賞を世界中からもらってる、それがずらっと展示してありましたね。
はい。あれ全部で100以上になるということだったんですけれども、そのトロフィーであるとか賞状であるとか、あれもね、棚も全部ご主人が作ってくださって、きちっと一枚一枚賞状も額に入れて飾りきれないぐらいになってたんですよね。
思わずね、あとないのはノーベル賞だけですねってつい言ったら、いやノーベル賞が欲しいからやってるわけじゃありませんって言われてしまいましたけどね。
そう、もう一言あったんですよ。世界には本当に素晴らしい賞があって、150年200年の歴史があるようなものもあるから、その優劣はつけられないし、っていうようなことも言ってたんですよ。
そして書棚を見たらですね、増田さんの本がちゃんと目立つところにありましたね。
もう大感激でしたね。でもね、目立つところに置いてあったわけじゃないのよっていうふうにもカリコさんおっしゃってましたけれども、でもああやってね、自分の書いた本を本当にカリコさんのね、書棚のところに見えるように置いていただいてるっていうのは、もう本当にもこんな感激はなかったですね。
あれポプラ新書で絶賛発売中ですので、どうぞお買い求めください。
っていうコマーシャルはねついてますよね。
そうもうついてますけどね。
はい。でそういう私たちのものもそうですし、それからハンガリーでねカリコさんの小さな伝記みたいな絵本が出されたっていうことで、そういうものも紹介してくださって、ご自身について書かれている本はほとんどもうきちっと目を通してそうやってチェックをなさってるっていうのも姿勢として素晴らしい方だなと思いましたね。
そしてですね、その後お嬢さんはねもう独立して、だからそのお嬢さんの部屋が今もあって、その部屋を案内していただけたらなんか出てきましたね。
はい、ちょっとねご説明しておきますけれども、カリコさんのお嬢さんはアメリカでボートの選手として2回金メダルを取ってるんですよね、オリンピックでね。で、そのようなすごくスポーツにも長けたお嬢さんなんですけれども、お隣研究室として使っているカリコさんのお部屋のお隣にお嬢さんのお部屋があってね、そこを案内してくださったんですよね。
そうですよね。でそこではテディベアが出てきましたね。
もうね話に聞いていたテディベアですよね。ハンガリーからアメリカに渡るときに外貨の持ち出しが制限だったんですね、池上さんね。
あの頃ね、特に社会主義の国ですから、とにかく外貨不足なので勝手に外貨を持ち出しちゃいけない。でも外貨を持ち出さないととてもアメリカで生活できないと考えて、もう苦肉の策をするんですよね。
はい、テディベアの背中を切って、その中にお金を詰めて、ドルを詰めて、で縫い合わせて、もう本当に2歳か3歳の小さいお嬢さんにそのテディベアを持たせて、それでアメリカに渡るっていうことをしたんですよね。
という話は聞いてたんですけど、そのテディベアを今も大事にちゃんと持ってたんだというのはちょっと感激しましたね。
びっくりしました。すごく綺麗な状態でお嬢さんの部屋にソファーのところに置いてあって、もうこれが本物なんだっていうね、もう本当に何とも言えない気持ちにもなりましたけれどもね。でそのお嬢さんのことをね自慢に思ってるんだ、自慢っていうかお嬢さんのことを非常に誇りに思ってるんだなと思ったのは、やはり部屋のあちこちに写真が飾ってあるのもそうなんですけれども、こんなにメダルを取ったのよって言って箱を出してきて一つ一つ説明してくださったんですよね。なんかお母さんだなってそんなね一面も見られましたね。
オリンピックの金メダルだけではなく、いろんな世界大会でこんなにメダルを持ってる。ほとんど金色でしたね。
はい、見事でしたね。やっぱり母の背中を見て育ったということなんでしょうかね。はい。
さあそうやっていろいろ案内していただいて、さあいよいよ増田さんによるインタビューが始まるということですね。
はい、じっくりねお宅でいろいろな話を聞いてきました。はい。こちらに来た時にね、ご主人さんもカリコさんもとても大変だったというふうに聞きましたけれども、もう今日こういうね状況になってやっぱり来てよかったっていうふうに思ってらっしゃいますか、アメリカに。
Oh, we did not feel that it was that difficulties. You know, I mean, when we moved here, we married in 1980 and we moved here in 1985 with a daughter. My daughter was 2.5 years old, and I mean, just we did our work. He worked. My husband works in the same place from 1987. But now is his manager and responsible for providing more than 2,000 little house, the hot water, the heating. Responsible for many other projects, trees and roads and fixing things. And so he has. Because he's there for the longest time and he knows everything and he can fix everything, you know.
そうですか。最初に来た時からもう最初からそのお仕事ですか。最初ちょっとまた別の仕事をしてたっていうふうに聞いたんですけど。
At the beginning, he worked for a car mechanic because he can fix cars, and then he was doing odd jobs and cut the grass and helping, but not long after that, they asked him that whether he can. At the beginning, he was like cleaning, and then he started to painting. Then he started to welding. They put security iron bars for the basement windows, and I don't know. So he just did different kind of work, and then he painted all of the cars what they had, and then finally, was responsible for the heating. And hot water.
ハンガリーの人って とってもこういろいろなこう能力が高いっていうかね、純能力があるかっていうか、なんでハンガリーの人ってそういうこうなんていうんですかね、そういう能力あるんですかね。
You know, and when he was working in the butcher shop, you know, I was assisting him when I was in high school during the summer. And what happened is that you learn the profession of your parents because you are helping them. So my husband helped his father, who was a carpenter, made furnitures, his father, so that he learned how to do it. And his father was fixing cars, so he learned. So it is more like that you help in, and meanwhile you are assisting your parents, you learn their trade.
やっぱりそうなんですね。なるほどね。カリコさん、最近はどんな研究をしてるんですか？
I mean, October 1st, I just resigned at BioNTech. I'm still as a consultant in BioNTech. I remained as a consultant, so I am talking to my team and also helping in other issues, but all of the 100% commitment is not there anymore. I will try to do something which I planned for a long time, but right now I just have to, you know, finish up a little bit because then after in December I go back to Europe. I will receive the Siemens ring, which is up until the Siemens ring is given out by Siemens, the company Siemens, and they usually give, or previously would give to engineers. Now that with my colleague Ubu Zahin, Özlem Türeci, and we will receive this ring, which is a gold ring, and this is a Siemens award. And after 2 days later, I go back to Hungary. I get the Budapest award from University of Semmelweis, and medical school, and on the December 15, and December 13 will be the Siemens award.
賞をもらうのが忙しいですね。
Yes, so I cannot do science, but hopefully next year will be a little bit different.
拠点はどこに置くつもりですか？アメリカなのかドイツなのか、それともハンガリーの大学の先生にもなられたって聞いたんですけど。
Yeah, so you know, my husband is here, my daughter is here. We are not moving away from here, but together with Norbert Pardy, who is a colleague at University of Pennsylvania, who is from the same university, like graduated from University of Szeged, and then together we will help with the programs there, with the mRNA therapeutic programs. I received several awards which can be used in, and I was already delivered there to the university. One of them, for example, this Louis Gentet Award, for example, only can be spent at European University. And so I will, you know, that was 150,000 Swiss franc. I also get the Novo Nordisk Prize again for research. So all of them is we will spend at University Szeged.
今一番目標としているのはやっぱり例えばがんを治す薬ですとか、具体的には何かありますか？
I mean, I was not working on cancer vaccine. It was a project which was with Sanofi. We injected mRNA to the tumors. There are also another project also entered to the clinical trial. This was this year, and that was this bispecific antibodies. One part of the antibody recognizes the tumor cells, the other is the immune cells, and they bring close proximity. So that's a program also started in human trial.
さらに先に何かしたいってことは考えてますか？
So yeah, you know, I am working on. I initiated, but it still is a, you know, still not known level. But you know, next week also I have several meetings to initiate something else, which is not mRNA.
mRNA じゃない。
So it's not mRNA.
Not mRNA.
じゃあ全然別のものですか？それとも関連していることですか？
But it is just, you know, I learned during the mRNA research, you know, all of this information, and then I come up with some solution for some disease.
そうですか。
And like lectures, I have to, like next week on November 8th, I have to go for a Nature Biotechnology meeting in Carlsbad in California. So a lot of lectures I also have to give. One lecture in February I have to take in Vatican, and I will meet the Pope. But to talk about that the mRNA is not changing the genes and other things. And that's what the lecture about, to demonstrate that it is not changing the human genome. It is just like a medicine.
But people think, there's a lot of people think that it's changed the gene. That's why you have to keep spreading that.
Yeah, but when I was also in Hungary, and I met with one of this leader of one of this religious leader, and we discussed, and he gave out to the people, in the church, that they have to take the vaccine.
思わぬ方向にいろんなことが広がった感じですか、カリコさんにとっては。
Listen, so it's important. I never crave, you know the word crave? I never craved recognition. You understand? So that people like that they will be in the front, that the people will know. I was never for that. For me, it was sufficient that I know what I was doing. But for other people, they want everybody know, even that what they were not doing, but they were, they want fame, recognition, their ego. And I was not like that. I did not want this recognition.
やっぱりじゃあこれからもずっと研究を続けていきたいっていうのが、一つの目標というかですか？
Yeah, that's what I received the awards, money with it, and so. You see, I have no jewelry, nothing. I did not pick up any expensive hobbies. I am living in the same house with the same husband, same everything. So that the money will be spent to sponsor research. And as I say, my husband is going every day to work. We are not sitting home just because now we could afford to sit home. I have to say that last month, first time in our life, we purchased a new car. It's standing right there. Prior to that, I was, this 25 years old car I was driving, which we purchased as a used car. All of our car we purchased as a used car. But last month we get a new car.
なるほど。ハンガリーに対してはどんな思いで言いますか？今カリコさんは国籍が例えばパスポート2つ持ってるとかそのあたりの事情どうなってるんでしょう？
Usually, I never had been homesick when I was here. No. I have to say that I could be in Japan. Whenever I was in the laboratory, working in the laboratory, that was the home. And so when we went to Shonan Center in Japan, because there was the Takeda Center, and I offered there that I can stay here. Let's do those experiments, because for me it doesn't matter. Laboratory is the same. It could be Tokyo, it could be Mainz, Germany, it could be Philadelphia. Laboratory is where what to do.
なるほど。研究を続けていくその情熱っていうのはどうやったらそうやって続けられるんですか
？The people usually get distracted by and get slowed down and disappointed when they can look at the colleague who is working less, or at least in their mind working less, paid more, promoted, advancing. And then what I am saying that you cannot change that. And if you pay attention to that, you already took away your attention, what you can change, your work. You have to focus on your work. If you recognize and notice all of these things, and bothers you, of course. So that's what, you should not pay attention on things what you cannot change. Because then you have always something to do and not to blame others. Because if you blame others again, it is her fault, it is his fault, then you don't have to do anything. Blame somebody. But then what you will do? You cannot change them. So that was always that what I should do. And even when I was demoted from my position, I said, okay, I was faculty and they removed me. I said, okay, the bench is here, where I do work, the bench. The bench is here. I am in the United States of America in an Ivy League school. Where else if not here? Who cares that I am not faculty? this is where we could do, you know. So it's still a good place. I can do the work. So it's for everybody. For you have to always ask what I can do, and don't worry about anything you cannot change and cannot do anything about, because it is just upsets you. You just have to say, okay, what can I do? You know, you are here, you can ask question or or something, and then you can do. But something you cannot change, the politics or something, you can do and go to vote. That's it.
高校生にねレクチャーしたっていう話がありましたけれども、高校生などにも同じような話をなさるんですか？
First of all, I am telling them, okay, I was 300 student was there in Friday morning at York University. They bussed them in because every day I gave to talk to high school students. Of course, I tell them, you want so many things. My mother should, my teacher should, and I tell them, you want your teacher to give better grade. You cannot change the teacher. You have to study and perform better, then you get better grade. So your goal should be not to change other people, you want your mom do that, and so on. And I tell them that what is important. First of all, they have to select a profession, that's why they are in school, they will like to do, they will enjoy, because you rest of your life you are working, and if you don't like what you are doing, that will be very boring life, so that they have to select something. And if they like to be in the spotlight, maybe they should be an actress or actor. If they want to have a lot of money, then I don't know what they have to do because I don't know how you can get a lot of money. But if they like to think about the problems, solving problems, coming up with solution, and maybe eventually helping some people who are sick, then science is for them. But I emphasize that when you decide to be a scientist, your goal shouldn't be that I will be the professor or I will be somebody, but more like to understand something about the scientific problems and solving that problems. Again, why? Because if this is your goal to have a solution, if you read a publication that somebody did half of the work you are working on, if your goal is to professor, then you are very upset because you won't be promoted because you cannot publish in the best papers because somebody already describing half of it. But if you want to understand science, you are happy that even these people did even more and you understand more. I also tell them, at the end, my daughter was 7 years old, came home, school was over, and she started to write a letter, and I asked her, who you are writing? She said, oh, Mrs. Wilson, I thank her for this wonderful year, we learned so much. And I was like 35 years old, and I never thanks to the teachers, So from that on, everything changed. I started to, you see that upstairs I invited them, all of them came to the restaurant, those who the picture were taken. I invited them, I sent them, every award I get, I invite those, whether it is in Hungary or here in the US, I invite them to the ceremonies to celebrate together because I thank them. And I told the students, that first of all, you can learn even from a 7 years old, and the other is that from time to time they have to thanks to their teachers, to their parents, how much they have done for them. That I also tell the students. Yeah, I also tell them, that they have to respect their fellow students. I mean, because I also ask help from my ex-students, that who were my fellow students when I needed, and I told them also that just they should be themselves. They don't try to pretend that they are somebody else. I know that I told them, it is very difficult today. Teenagers were there, everybody had their cell phone. I said, because everybody is just, I said, probably a very important message is coming in and you have to answer.
やっぱりこれからもその女性のってことあるのかいけないかもしれないですけど、科学者に若い方たちに科学者を目指してほしいとか、そんなふうに思うことってありますか？
When my daughter was their age in high school, I told them that I showed Nature or Science article, and I said, "Isn't that interesting?" And she read it and said, "It was okay, Mom." So I told them that I don't expect that they will be like, so excited over something. But I told them that when you looked up this morning from your telephone, when they were busing in then to York University, did you notice that the trees has yellow or red leaves and green? And have you wondered that where this red is coming from, or the yellow? Is the green degraded, became yellow? And what about the red one? Is the red was always there, but the green covered it? And why they are falling down? How did I know that? So that all of these questions, what you understand the nature around you should excite, or the Canadian geese were coming, going, and which direction and why they are. So that I ask all of these, just look up sometimes and notice nature around you. Try to talk to them, because you know that how a 16 years old, everybody was occupied to looking at other girls and guys and, and looking at their messages.
じゃあカリコさん大変申し訳ないんですけどノーベル賞って騒がれたのはとっても煩わしかったですか？
My daughter said, "Mom, at least when we were in the final in the rowing, even the last second we could pull harder. You cannot do anything, I mean, you get the prize or not get the prize. I just told you upstairs. There is a prize which is not 100 years old, 200 years old." And why it is certain prize, the Nobel Prize is more famous than the John Scott Award, which is 200 years old, and all of these famous people received it. Who says only their PR, is better or something? I don't really ever. You don't get a scientist get up every time, every day, 40 years, that, I will get an award. I just told you, I want to understand something, not towards, professorship or something. So it's, and it doesn't matter. They are asking questions and so many people ask me many questions which other people get upset. You don't take personally, nothing. Even if people are saying you bad thing, don't take personally. People ask something, if politely or something, I respond, even if it is, somebody denied the vaccine or anything, if they genuinely ask. But of course, if they loaded the question that you know that this is a poison and then I just ignore.
そういう同じ気持ちをずっと持ち続けてるわけじゃないですか、カリコさんって。そういう気持ちに多くの人はなれないと思うんですよね。そんなことないですか？でどうしてそう同じ価値観っていうかね、それを大事にしていけるのかっていう。
For the vaccine, receiving letter from elderly home, I get one from Meadowbrook from New York, and there were 200 residents in the elderly home. And 1 week after I received the vaccine, they also received. And what happened? 1 week later, after they received, there were infection. And prior to that, if in the elderly home there was a positive, COVID positive, half of the people died. The elderly home, and that time nobody died. And then last September there was the Katalin Kariko Appreciation Day, and all of these elderly were sitting in a T-shirt with my picture on it, and they were sending me, these pictures and the letter, because they felt that, they wanted to thank to somebody that, they were not died because, nobody died after. And so this, you cannot give any award which would you feel more satisfaction and fulfilling that, okay, that these elderly, how scared they could be, because prior to that, if there was an infection, half of them died, and now they realize positive, but they are not dying. And I mentioned also in the Gardner Award, they were surprised because I thank everybody who helped on my journey, and I also thanks to those who tried to make my life miserable, because without them, thanks to those, I worked harder and became more resilient. And I mentioned every time, if I would not have been kicked out from my position several times, I wouldn't be here. But I try to emphasize to all of this, that instead of when you get the bad news that you are, you have to go, kicked out, do not spend time licking your wound, feeling sorry for yourself, saying that there were others who were worse than why you. Don't spend any energy on this. What next? All of your attention has to be what I will do now. So when I was terminated in Hungary, I came to the United States. When I was kicked out from Temple University, ended up in Bethesda. Then from Bethesda, I ended up in UPenn. When I kicked out from UPenn, 9 years ago, I went to BioNTech. I went to BioNTech, a place that actually had no website. Accidentally, I learned that BioNTech exists. It was just in a campus.
On a what?
Campus. We were just a university. There were no company. We were in the university setting. And just a handful of people. And today, 3,000 people. 9 years later, 3,000 people there. So that what I'm saying is, you have to learn to handle the bad news and see what next. And so that many times I was demoted, I was kicked out, and every time I spent all of my attention, what next?
カリコさん、今一番楽しい時間ってどういう時間ですか？
I just cannot even think about what I would do, because there is the next. I mean, I just told you, I came to Switzerland 4 days, 3 prize, Zurich, Geneva, back Geneva. So it is just overwhelming, day after day. Then prior week it was in Wilczek Award in New York. Prior to that it was the, Warren Alpert from Harvard, MIT at Boston, and going here and there, and it just so many things that I just right now I cannot even think what I would do.
本当にお体だけねそれだけお元気いろんなとこ行かなきゃいけないのでもう健康でないといられないっていうことだと思うので。
Everybody who gives the award thinks that okay, just accept ours and then after take care of your health. Just first come here.
そうですかね。Thank you so much.
いやなんかねカリコさん明るく語ってくださいましたけど、クビになった話がいっぱい出てきたりね。であるいは辛くなったりそういう人生があったからこそ今の私がいるんだみたいな話がさすがだなと思いましたけどね。
そうですね。だから私は人に認められたいわけじゃないのっていうことを何度もはっきりおっしゃっていて、なかなかそれは気持ちの中でね、持たない方が難しいんじゃないかなと思うんですけれども、そうではなくて例えば自分が打ったワクチンによって新型コロナにかかってしまっても高齢者の施設の中ではワクチンを打った人たちはかかっても命を落とすことがなくなったとかね、でそれを聞いた時にやはりその時に得た感激といいますかね、その自分の仕事へのやりがいというものは小には代え難いものだっていうことをおっしゃってましたよね。本当に人のために何ができるかっていうことを根本からきちっと考えている方なんだなと思いましたね。
だからこれを例えばいわゆる日本でもいろいろ研究している人いますよね。研究者にとってもカリコさんの生き方ってものすごく参考になると思うんだけど、研究者だけじゃなくてもさあ働くってどういうことなんだろうっていうことを本当に考えさせてくれたよね。
はい、だから人が変わらないとか政治が変わらないとかその苦しくなるようなことは考えないという自分ができることが何かということを突き詰めていくことが人生大事なんだなということが分かりましたね。
はい、
はい、
YouTube 学園から新たに本が生まれました。
世界を救うmRNA ワクチンの開発者カタリン・カリコ、この YouTube 学園の動画でも紹介した方です。
ポプラ新書絶賛発売中です。
よろしくお願いします。